Days are a lot more intense.
Yeah, they are.
Has everyone taken one? It takes about an hour to take the test. And you're amazed, like somebody's validating with you and you're like, how do you know all this stuff from like, does this shape match to this shape? And like, this makes no sense.
It's crazy because you like learn a different aspect of you. Like you
It's
learn
insane.
what you look like on a paper.
It's crazy, like I'm always shocked. Okay. It's time to write note cards. Okay. So today, you guys can write your note cards to the person you talk to, or you can write a note card to Miss Samantha St. Clair for all her help getting you guys plugged in, or you can write a note to Latasha if she helped you, or somebody else. So those are just ideas. I'm just giving you guys ideas. But I don't know. Not one or two.
Thank you.
One or two.
Two.
Perfect. Love it. One or two. Good. I like it. See? One or two. One or two.
I found my rules.
Yay! You followed the
Do I win?
rules. You don't like your handwriting.
No, I mean, I'll write one,
Okay.
sure, why not? She won't be able to read it, but
There you go.
whatever.
So what we do is
It's the
we
fun
write note
ones.
cards for people like you might even want to write it to who introduced you to Keller Williams, and just say thanks.
Yeah, like
hey.
Cheryl,
Anybody.
or Sam's.
Anybody.
It
It can be literally to anybody. Corey, you want one or two?
Graduation gifts, but you never sent out the announcements.
Perfect.
Yes.
Yeah, I
So
found mine
I
from
have
the
a-
desk with open.
Yeah, write a note card. I recommended Sam, if she's helped you, or you could write it to Latasha, or you could write it to Cheryl, or somebody from the company that's like helped you out, or made you feel.
21-year-old did the same thing. Didn't send them out. I'm like, going, you guys, that's money in your pocket you'll need for school, you little brats. But anyway. Now that, I sure do wish they'd done those little graduation announcements. You know what I started doing when people give me a check?
Yeah.
I take a photo of it, so I automatically have their address. Yeah.
Do people still write checks?
She does.
I'm like, I don't write checks.
For rent. I like my checks. I have documentation now. Got my faces covered. Why not? She can laugh, but I'm the one that has the stamps, not her. Sorry.
I wanna know if we can have
Lucky
start
this note card
commenting on
doesn't need a
this
stamp.
Lead with revenue when we spend $1,000 a year on stamps.
I know.
Hey, wait till you start farming.
Not-
Yeah.
not like
Hey, you don't think so, but wait till you finish writing your card. I'll get you farming.
that. So I have to tell you, this was, clearly I have some wacky things with this real estate thing, but forming that term,
Yeah.
shouldn't it be hunting, not forming?
Ah.
Like in the world of sales, they're hunters and farmers. Like farmers are people who, they already have the account
If
and
you
they nurture it to grow
if
more.
you've got some D going on, we'll definitely
Right.
call it hunting.
Okay, thank
I agree with that, okay.
you.
You get that.
Farming drives me up.
That's funny.
Someone from Caldwell Bank actually got in an argument with me over it. Well, you do you, but hunt.
I think I'm a little addicted to cutting.
It's not that addiction. Oh, I want wanted to see it writing.
Oh. Nice. Smooth.
Let him check it out.
Thank you.
Any coaching tips for us at this holiday party?
At the holiday party?
Just show up and have fun. Are you gonna do it?
He's like,
Exactly.
he's hunting realtors.
Coaching tips for.
I'm thinking about the,
We're networking for
I'm
realtors.
talking about a different holiday party. Are you talking about the Keller Williams
I
party?
just wanted to see how mercenary you really were. So,
That's
I mean,
hilarious.
It's a heck of a captured audience you have there.
Yeah, right?
We could just rate
Well,
Anybody?
Is there like a standard
I look at it,
format? Oh, okay, okay. I just
I look at our holiday party as a group interview. Because I wanna know who I like to sit at my open houses, right? Like if someone's not friendly and outgoing, I'm not gonna be happy with them
So-
sitting at my open house.
I want you to keep something in mind.
Yeah,
No matter how many times, it's so funny because
Yeah.
we have these Ignite classes come through, right? And we talk about y'all. We do. We chat. Who's gonna be successful? Who do we think is gonna be the top agent? We are always wrong. I just want you to know that. And these are like agents that you do not know because you do not know what people do when they're alone and what activities they're willing to do and make happen. So you never can predict. So you'd be amazed, like somebody at a holiday party that you like are trying to, and they're like a dud, they may be the best open house holder you've ever met, and you're like, rock on with your bad self. Where did that come from? You never know, it's so bizarre.
oh yeah,
People are so interesting.
that is
Yeah.
interesting.
People are so interesting, I mean,
Yeah,
people are just,
That's why you say never judge.
never judge,
well, just like buyers.
can't
Don't-
predict.
Like, don't.
I'm intrigued
Don't
with
judge
why
those
you would,
customers.
why would you care who sits in your open house, honestly? I mean, if
They're
you
doing
already
work
have the
for you.
listing and you're going to have a sale, I mean, they could be the quirkiest character on the planet,
Good
and they
question.
may attract quirky people.
And I think that's awesome for you, and as long as somebody's there, who cares? Great, perfect.
Are you responsible for someone saying something illegal? Like, so for example,
At your open house?
right, so my old brokerage, I sat at the open house,
No.
probably said some illegal things, didn't know they were illegal when they came out of my mouth, but they were.
You
I think
said
you
it,
said
so
it,
it's
that's
you hold the liability, not the
Okay.
person who holds the listing.
Okay.
We haven't been so litigious where that's happening yet, but who knows, give us some time. All right, let's talk about your calls. I wanna know how many people, and keep in mind, we're tracking since yesterday, so if you guys made calls after class yesterday, rock on. All right, how many dials did we make from
Since yesterday.
the tracking yesterday to today? And I know it's only been one day, but what do we got?
I made 3
3?
and 2 picked up.
2 picked up?
Yes.
Any referrals or appointments?
Right, it was good catch.
Absolutely. The job is to make the calls.
Right.
It's a numbers game. Remember that.
Morning call.
Yep.
Better catch.
Jordan, how'd you do?
5.
5 calls? How many conversations?
2.
2 conversations? Any referrals or appointments? Okay, thank you. Okay,
For me, I'm nurturing relationships right now. So
Okay.
I've talked to about 4 people today,
okay,
and all of them have responded.
okay. And any referrals or appointments? Okay. Dials? So just, are you doing the texting thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Which is,
I'm
okay, by
like
the way.
gaining information
Okay.
and stuff right now.
So good question. Does the text count on your daily 10-4?
Yes,
If,
they respond.
and here's what I'm gonna tell you.
What was the question?
And here's what, if they respond. Oh, the text count on your daily 10-4 as like a call, cause it's technically doesn't have to be a call. You can go around and talk to people in the parking lot.
Right.
They totally count. That's actually the ideal scenario. It's just not very leveraged, right?
Yeah.
So we get you on the phone. So does the text count?
Yes.
Okay. What's the criteria for the text to count?
Real estate.
Yes, and I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of a caveat on that. So, if you're gonna bold or something like that, you absolutely have to be having a conversation about real estate. For you guys now, because you're starting interactions, sometimes in text it takes a little bit of time to bring up the real estate conversation. So the only criteria I would give you, and ask your coach, because it may be different for different coaches, they have to respond. So you can't just drop a text and count it. Doesn't count until they reply.
Right, cause it's not a conversation.
At least okay.
Until you get a second party involved.
Exactly. So I have a son, and he likes to say K. Not even okay, just K. So as long as it's one letter coming back at you, I will consider it a conversation. And the reality is we want to get you guys get that we're trying to create the systemization of you having conversations on a regular basis, right? So even if it takes a little bit of time, and nice job on the script, because I was listening to you do your script outside. Very nice.
Thank you.
Like, it gets more natural. I was like, oh, he's doing it. Elton, comments?
940.
940. Okay, Teresa.
210.
Riley.
Well, okay, one dial,
Okay.
uh,
Well, and if you put out a text without a response, I would consider that a dial.
oh, then 5,
Okay.
uh, 1, and 0. Wait, oh, from yesterday?
From yesterday to today. Yeah, not in class yesterday, because that was tracked yesterday.
Well,
There's no.
I
place.
didn't actually provide the numbers yesterday. I got completely skipped over.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
But between the last class that we had on last Monday, I did do one appointment.
Did you hold the appointment?
Yes, went and showed property. So,
Okay. Well done.
thank you.
So let me ask you a question. Did you hold an appointment or did you show property?
I showed property.
So did you hold a buyer's appointment?
My coach strongly advised me against it, but I have since learned the value of going against that advice. Love you, Keone.
Thank you for letting me know that. That's a conversation that needs to be had. I absolutely would recommend a buyer broker agreement.
Yes, I'm
because-
never doing that again. I'm sorry, that broke the system. When I went back and I looked at why the whole thing fell apart, it was because I did not do a buyer broker in the beginning. I did not learn where he was at with his financing. I did not learn.
Yes. Okay, so let me ask you a question. This brings up a good point. Should you take somebody and show them properties if they're not pre-approved?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so you said no, you said yes.
I think.
I say yes.
You say yes.
I think you have to evaluate the situation and respond appropriately.
Okay. So,
Were you asking, should
Did you
we
have-
or should you?
input?
Well, I mean, we're all new, so I mean, you want any leads possible, but I feel like, you know, when you get busy, then yeah, it's your time. But
Okay.
right now, we're all new and we're hungry, but I mean, I wouldn't be driving everyone around and
Right.
you'd have to gain a little bit of knowledge.
So this is where, and we do have differences on Maui than the mainland, right? On the mainland, the majority of people are buying what?
Regular.
Primary residence.
Yeah.
They're buying their primary residence, okay? When you buy your primary residence, this is why it's more common up there for somebody to walk into an open house and say, we wanna look at properties this weekend, we're gonna write an offer next week. That stuff happens more frequently on the mainland. Why? Because it's their primary residence. What do we have a lot of here?
Vacation, and they might be only here
Yes.
for a week, so you have a week
Yes.
to make contact.
So here's what I will tell you. I have shown a lot of properties to not pre-approved buyers. And the reason is because I've had a lot of people walk into my open house, and when I do the LP Mama and it comes to the agent, the answer is yes, we have an agent. We met them 2 years ago and they've showed us property. So if I don't put them in my car, somebody else is gonna put them in my car. Now, do I pre-qualify, ask questions, find out what I'm dealing with? Yes, 100%. Do not stop yourself from putting people in your car just because they're not ready to buy right at this moment. Because if you don't build the rapport, they're not gonna buy from you.
And I think that's where I failed on this, was I did not ask enough pre-qualifying questions. Because I understand where Keone is going and his thinking and his mentality, and just get to the appointment and get as many people, because that, his coaching is appointment, get to the appointment, get them in your car, start showing them property. And I totally understand his thinking and his modality on that yes, if we don't get them out there, they're never going to be buying, right? But at the same point, it was on me being a new agent. So where the learning experience was in me not asking enough pre-qualifying questions. And I think for me, someone who really likes structure, having that appointment where I know, like, I've got this routine, I've got this script, I've got all my questions, I'm gonna get everything done, then I'm not wasting the listing agent's time, I'm not wasting the mortgage broker's time, and I'm not wasting my time in showing property to someone, or going on the MLS and looking at property for someone who cannot afford a property because they're a brand new, self-employed person who needs at least 6 months of being self-employed to even get a mortgage.
Okay, so let me ask you guys this. When you go into the doctor's office, what is the first thing the doctor does?
Assessments.
Once you actually get to the doctor. And you've already been through a bunch of like vital stats and stuff, right? Like what's the this and the whatever. What's the doctor do?
So how are you feeling today?
Yeah.
Ask questions.
Yes. Generally more than just one. Probably a few, right? If you walked in the doctor's office and they said, oh, you have this here, and we gave you a pill, would you be like, you're gonna take the pill? Or like, what's wrong with you? Because you don't know what's wrong with me, you don't know what I need, you don't know what I want, you're not a consultant. You are consultants as realtors. That is your job. If you're not a consultant, you're not very good at your job. So you have to consult to find out. I told you, what am I? I'm an advocate for my buyers and sellers' needs and goals. How do I know those goals? Right, ask questions. Ask questions. Number one job, lead generate, and ask great questions, right? Like, I'm gonna keep telling you guys that you've gotta ask great questions. Because if you ask great questions, you will find out what they're looking to do. And that's when I can steer you in the right direction, because I have market knowledge and I know what makes sense and what fits for you. And that's why I have people who walk into this island thinking that they're 3 months out from buying a vacation rental, and that's actually not what matches what they need, and they're in their long-term rental already in 2 months, because it's $150,000 cheaper and they get an extra bedroom. Like, I know these things, so everybody has sort of put themselves in their own little box, but that box isn't necessarily right. You go to the doctor, you can get on WebMD. How many diseases have you diagnosed yourself with? Like, I think I've had 3 brain tumors at least. I'm pretty sure I've had at least 3 brain tumors.
I know I've been diagnosed incorrectly at least 10 different times living here.
From doctors?
No, by mom.
Oh, by mom. Okay, there you go. WebMD, man. I know what's wrong with me. I'm good. I got this.
Yeah.
I got the box. Treat me for the brain tumor I have. No, let me ask you questions first. Figure out what you have. You have a pulled nerve. Okay, great. Thank you for asking me the right questions and not throwing me into surgery and pulling my brain tumor out when it doesn't exist. I mean, you laugh, but that's the reality of what you do as a realtor, right? Like, everybody has put themselves in their own little diagnosed box, thank you to Zillow or whatever, right? Like, I know what I need, I know what I want.
Yeah.
Great. I need to know what you need and want, so let's sit down and do an needs analysis. Right?
Yeah.
That is your job. If you miss that part of the job, you will not sell as much real estate.
Right.
So just be very, very clear about that. Okay. Page 12. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about the fiduciary. Do you guys know what a fiduciary is?
Yeah, your responsibility to your client.
Yeah, and there's 2 words, and they're in that gray box that are the responsibilities that you need to understand. So what does it say?
Legal and ethical.
Yes, a person who is legally or ethically entrusted to manage money or property between 2 or more parties. You understand that you are a fiduciary. Right? That is what you are. You have a license that's based on your fiduciary duties.
To your client.
Absolutely, to your client. Okay? You are a member of National Association of Realtors, which requires you to be a fiduciary. Have any of you read your code of ethics? Like, actually read through your code of ethics? If you have not, please read your code of ethics. Please please know what you are saying that you are going to do, because the code of ethics matters. Okay, it makes a difference in how you show up and what you do for your clients. So just know that. All right, I love this part, staging the property. So, you guys understand staging is awesome. Turn to page 14. So will staging bring in higher offers? That's a really good question, right? I mean, it's not cheap. Staging's not cheap. Okay, so there's going to be a little bit of a hierarchy of how you deal with your listings, right? Because let me tell you, you're gonna get some ugly listings. So what do you think is the first thing, way before staging, that we should probably do with the property?
Get it clean.
Thank you. Get it cleaned. Yes, absolutely. Get it cleaned. Okay, so let's talk about the staging. Will staging bring in higher offers? So 32% of realtors report a 1 to 5% increase in the offer. 16% of realtors report a 6 to 10% increase in the offer. And 3% of realtors report an 11 to 15% increase in the offer. Have any of you ever been into a brand new development where the house was not staged?
Yeah.
You have?
I've seen, yeah.
But it's unusual, right?
It is. It's a little bit more difficult to envision yourself being there.
That's the key to staging. The general public is very bad at envisioning themselves in a property. Just understand that. They just aren't. They're just not good at it. They really aren't. They don't have a designer's brain. Because they don't have a designer's brain, they can't see themselves living there. So staging becomes really important. Okay, so National Association of Realtors, 2015 profile home staging. The median cost spent on staging a home is, yeah, you can cross that number right off because we're on Maui and that's
And
not
it's
going to be your
zero.
median price.
Right.
So, talk to one of the stagers. All right, what's the number one room that we want to stage first?
Living room?
Kitchen too.
And how come?
That's where they spend most of their time.
And it's the number one room that matters if you look at the page. Now, here's what I will tell you. What's the number two room that matters?
The kitchen.
Bed.
The kitchen. Which one's easier to stage between the living room and the kitchen?
Kitchen.
Oh yeah, right? Like TJ Maxx, little flower pot, champagne and glasses, you know, a couple little towels and some mats. Like, hello, kitchen is staged. It's pretty easy. It's the living room that's a little more difficult. Usually we're bringing in chairs, couches, something like that, right? We are on
14.
It's the next module.
14.
6.
Oh.
We're in 6.
That makes sense.
But Nicole, before staging, don't you wanna get it freshly painted?
It depends on the condition of the property. You can get it painted.
Okay, it may or may not.
More importantly, don't stage a dirty house, right? And you have to take it, everything's layers, right? I call it polishing your property. You have to look at how much polish your property needs. We want the highest polish and the best price, because that's how buyers see value. That's what I do.
So question. In
Yes.
staging, we pay for the staging?
Oh, that is such a great question, Gabriella. Would you like to pay for the staging?
No.
Okay, then
That
you don't have
sounds
to.
Okay.
That's up to you. So if you go to the mainland, that's sort of like some people's value proposition is you'll see their U-Haul with their name and their business, and that's all their staging stuff, and they stage the houses for free. So I personally have a staging kit for condos. I stage my condos for free, not houses, too big.
So my only reference for cost of staging, because I'm a new agent, is $1 Million Listing New York and $1 Million Listing LA.
Call Latasha, get a price list.
Because
That's the only way you're gonna know is if you just say, give me a standard for, 2,000 square foot house and give me a standard for a 750 square foot condo.
okay.
Let's find out what it is. But now you guys know, look, okay, so let me ask you this. Should you be staging the dining room?
Yeah,
That's number 4.
4.
So the master bedroom would be next.
Yeah, see, so let's not spend the money in the places that it doesn't need to be spent. So be
right.
smart with your clients, because they like it when you say things like, we don't wanna spend your money on that, because it's the 4th most important.
Right.
We wanna spend it on the 1st, 2nd, and possibly the 3rd most
Okay.
important. See?
And now you sound like a knowledgeable new agent, not a new one.
Right, so we love that. Okay, staging objections. I don't see why this is so important. Somebody play with me. You guys get to be the agent. I don't see why this is so important.
16% of the realtors see a 6 to 10% increase on the staging of your house. In your
Good job.
Ooh, so that's like how much for me? my $700,000 house? That's an extra
Anyway, from
40
42
grand,
to 70 grand.
Yeah,
and it only cost me like 3,000 to stage it? Well, that, yeah, okay, that sounds like a good deal. Very good, thank you. Thank you, I love that, concise and to the point. Do we really, okay, repairs, let's talk a little bit about repairs. Do you guys know what a pre-inspection is?
no,
Okay, I heard some no's, some yeses. So a pre-inspection is a pre-home inspection. Okay?
a pre-home inspection.
Yes, so the seller pays for a home inspection on the property, and I highly recommend it, especially on, like you gotta kind of look at the property, right? If you're not seeing the property is really well taken care of, recommend a pre-home inspection. And the way I say it is, buyers love it when we include the pre-home inspection on your listing, so they can already see that the property's been inspected and everything's been taken care of.
Okay.
People are gonna look at you and go, oh, that house is gonna rock.
Like they're ready
Got
to
it.
sell, they're ready to do business.
That totally set you apart.
It's like buying a car from a dealership rather
Certified
than-
pre-owned.
Yeah, then you're like, okay, I know. how
Great
to
analogy.
resupply.
Got a warranty
Yep.
on
Can
it.
we use that? We can totally be like,
Heck
imagine,
yeah.
would you, 2 cars, certified pre-owned.
Heck yeah.
Or
So-
find a mechanic and check out one on your own.
There you go.
Right.
Good analogy, I like that. She's a smart one. Okay, why can't we sell the house as is? You're gonna get that a lot. I just wanna sell it as is.
Do you have $70,000 to $48,000 to lose?
No.
That's probably why.
Let's
Dial it down to numbers for sellers. I like the approach you guys are taking, because that's,
it's gonna narrow your market of buyers. Usually people, I don't know, but I'm thinking usually people who are going to look at it as is are going to expect a lower price, because when I hear as is, I think there's problems. And the buyer is probably gonna be, has to be someone who's handy, who's gonna probably
Right.
flip it.
right. Investors pay generally 20 to 30% under market value for the properties.
Yeah.
So when somebody says, I know the kitchen sink leaks, but I don't really wanna fix that, I just wanna sell it as is. What do you say to that?
Sure.
That's a minor fix that would increase your.
disclosure statement.
Yes, you do. Okay, so what I would say is, that's a minor repair with major consequences, because the instant the buyer knows that you didn't bother to take care of that, they're going to assume you don't take good care of your home, and they're gonna be worried there's gonna be major issues. And so they're gonna write offers based on major issues. Investor, I can get you an investor, 20-30% less. I got them all day long.
I think those words as is a deal killer. I mean, I see that and I'm immediately turned off.
So-
And I realize in Hawaii you're buying as is always, but just putting it in writing and just that whole philosophy is just horrendous.
Yeah.
Well, remember, so when you have a buyer, so how do you handle that when you have a buyer? If a property is listed as is? So what does that mean? Do you guys know what that means?
Well, as is they still have to do a disclosure on what they know is wrong.
Correct?
But
What
what-
else?
They're not going to negotiate any more fixing.
Not true. Still totally open for
Really?
negotiation.
Yes.
100% changes nothing on J1.
So it
Correct.
means nothing.
No. What it means is, and this is what I tell my buyers, it means they don't want you to pick apart all the little stuff, because you can't pick all the little stuff. Your home inspection is for finding major issues. Just focus on if there's any major issues. And we can still go back and ask for repairs. Does not affect whether you can ask for repairs. Okay? Sign an as-is addendum, and as-is addendum actually doesn't really mean anything. It's just a message. Okay? Just keep that in mind, because you gotta approach that from both different sides.
So as is means that they're not going to negotiate the little stuff, but the big stuff is always negotiable?
Usually, I just say, most sellers that I have, they're putting an as in, is in there, don't want you to come back with a lot of different things. So sometimes we can put in the offer, we agree that we will not request any repairs under $1,000 to be repaired.
Okay,
Any issues over that price range, and we're gonna have a discussion, right?
got it.
So you still have your J1.
In aggregate, you mean.
What do you mean?
Total amount of repairs over $1,000,
Right.
not.
Right, yes, thank you, sorry. Brain lost that one. Okay, market your listing, page 16. Let's go through these.
That was a good question. I didn't get that. I'm glad you clarified that.
Yeah, so if there's over $1,000 in repairs, yeah. And that depends on how you write it. If there's any one issue over $1,000, Or if there's over, it depends on how you write it. Again, it's a contract, it's a negotiation, right?
I mean,
Take it
going back
separate
to
enough?
the staging, I sat through one of the courses with Marion, and she said she had a condo here in TA that she went to go see the house. She hated the carpet. She paid to have the carpet replaced.
The carpet?
As
I
a
don't
listing
recommend
agent.
that.
Okay,
But it's a
okay,
small piece of
okay.
carpet.
It was a small, it was one room. It was just a little thing, and but I'd
Just,
like to hear your point of view.
so it would depend on the scenario, it would depend on the situation. If I knew I could sell it and I knew I had them going to list at the right price. So
Uh-huh.
again, if you haven't had the entire conversation and you say, okay, I'm gonna pay to have this replaced, and then we'll list it afterwards, and they haven't signed a listing agreement,
Or-
and then they wanna hire, like, you gotta make sure you got a done deal if you're gonna be doing that. And you never
I'm not
know.
married yet. I'm
You
working
never
on it,
done
but
deal.
yeah,
Huh?
I'm working on it.
Right, there you
Yes.
go, you gotta get there.
Yes.
Okay, so marketing your listing, I wanna talk about a couple of these, so let's read through them. Let's just go around the room, everybody read one, cause I'm tired of reading. Before you start,
Price the home competitively with current market and price trends.
yes, Jordan,
Advise sellers on how to attract buyers by showing their home in the best possible light.
yes,
Place for sale signs with property flyers easily accessible to drive-by buyers.
nice.
Respond to all buyer inquiries immediately.
Immediately.
Optimize the home's internet presence by posting your property in the Keller Williams listing system, local and global MLS systems, and on social media with plenty of photographs and a description of the property.
Okay, I'm gonna pause you for a second. Don't worry about the KWLS right now. So let me ask you a question. Should you ever put a listing on the MLS without pictures?
No.
How come?
Come prepared, like, post when you're ready.
Okay.
I think you
That's
have to have
how
one
come.
picture anyway. It mandates you have.
No, you can actually have around do the picture, but,
It's your first impression, and you never know when you're gonna get that opportunity again.
okay. Do you guys understand that there are thousands of people on auto searches with the MLS? And the moment you go live, a lot of those people are on send it to me when it's listed.
Right.
They're gonna get it without the pictures.
It's like sending a job resume.
Right.
The first time they read it is the first impression they have of you. And
Absolutely.
then you can't go back and they're never gonna see your edits after.
So just remember that sometimes you have to explain to clients that certain people are going to receive an email the moment we go on the MLS, because they're on an automatic search, so that matches their criteria, they're getting an email, they're gonna pull it up, they're gonna look at it, and they're gonna see no pictures. We do not want that, because they're gonna go, nope, no pictures, what are you hiding?
Right. It makes
Right.
you look unprofessional.
Always have pictures. Unless you do a dual agency flip of a really trash property, then you check the little, go ahead MLS, put your picture up there. So, just,
Okay.
otherwise you always want your photos.
Quick question.
Yes.
How is it? Never mind. That's a squirrel moment. I'll ask you later.
Okay,
I'll just read the thing.
Christine,
Okay, market the home on multiple websites, including your own site, my KW local office, and KW national sites to attract both local and out-of-town buyers.
cool.
Post the home on your branded KW app. Isn't that already done for us?
Yeah. Corey,
Um,
9.
Nine. Distribute just listed notices to neighbors, encouraging them to tell family and friends about the home.
Why would you wanna do that? Along with telling friends and family about the home.
Lead generation.
Yes.
Yeah, they can refer.
Who else is looking to buy or sell, right? Oh, you're selling my neighbor's house. Well, what's my house worth? Get that question all the time. Here's the neighbor's number. They want you to call them when the house sells. Tell them how much it's sold for. By the way, don't wait till the house sells. Just get on the phone. Yeah. Let me do a CNA for you. All right, number 10. Jordan, is that you?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
I think so.
Target your marketing to active real estate agents who specialize in selling homes in this neighborhood.
Okay, so we're gonna talk about that for a second. Nobody does this. Okay? If you do this, you will set yourself apart. Do you understand what they're telling you to do? Okay, so when I go in the MLS and I look at a neighborhood and I go, oh, here's all the houses that sold, tells me who had the listing and who brought the buyer. Who am I gonna call?
That guy,
Which guy?
the other guy, the
bought the buyer.
listing who's.
Oh, I'm gonna call both guys,
Yeah.
are you kidding me? Cause the one who had a listing, he also had people call inquiring about the property, so he got potentially
Yeah.
buyers. Who sold it had a buyer. I'm gonna call everybody who had anything to do with any transaction in that neighborhood and say, hey, I'm listing this, you know anybody?
Uh-huh,
Why wouldn't I reach out and ask them?
yeah.
They actually had buyers, maybe they were having open houses, right?
So call both the listing and,
And the selling agent.
or the buying and selling agent.
Yep.
And ask them about any potential buyers.
So this will be confusing for you, the selling agent is actually the buyer's agent. I know that sounds confusing. Because you're like, yeah. Let's call it the listing agent, so we don't get confused in here, cause I still get confused.
Listing
Listing
agent is
agent?
the seller's agent.
Correct.
Yeah,
And buyer's agent, yes.
The listing agent and buyer's agent.
Yes, so you want the listing agent and the buyer's agent, you're gonna call both of them. You're gonna call the listing agent and say, hey, I noticed you just sold your listing. Do you have any other buyers? Did you get any buyers that are looking in that neighborhood, cause it just got a new listing? Right? Make sense? That will set you apart. Okay, 11, I think that's you, everyone.
Include the home in your company and MLS tours, allowing other agents to see the home for themselves.
Yes.
Create an open house schedule and market and host the open house to promote the property to prospective buyers.
Yes. Okay, so just for a moment, let's talk about that concept. Do you think it would be really important to ask your sellers if they think open houses are important?
Yes.
Yeah.
Don't make the assumption on your own. Ask your seller what they think. Because sometimes you'll find people go, oh, I bought in an open house, so yeah, I think they're pretty important. And then you have other people who go, I don't really want those. You've got to do what your seller wants, right? So ask them what they prefer.
How do you overcome the objection that open houses are primarily for realtors to get new clients? They really don't. They
Oh, well,
really
that's easy. I just, say, hey, I'll bring over Jennifer if you want. She bought the condo I was sitting in. Jeannie's got an experience where somebody bought the condo she was sitting in. It happens on this island. So I don't see it as an objection. We want every avenue for potentially a buyer.
Okay.
Where are we? 13?
Target active buyers and investors in your database who are looking for homes in this price range and area.
Okay, we're gonna pause there for a second. I'll say it again. Nobody does this. Okay? Usually what people do is they'll create a flyer and they'll send it to their whole database. Get on the phone. If you know somebody who's in that range, if you know somebody who's potentially in that range, get on the phone. I just got a listing. And I let my sellers know. I'm actually gonna get on the phone. Like, you can come see me on the phone in my office during this time and this time if you wanna come check out me on the phone, calling people to let them know that I just took your listing. And not only am I gonna ask them if they're interested, but I'm also gonna ask them if they know anybody who's interested. That's a great way to build your database, especially if you got a really hot property. Alright, last
Wait,
one.
sorry, who are you calling?
My database.
Your database.
Anybody in my database who's a potential for that property.
Right.
Like, I'm going through my, and I'm not just sending out, most people just create a blanket flyer, we got a new listing, and they'll send it to their database.
Mm-hmm.
I am calling my database.
So you're tagging your database with price range as well then, clearly.
I'm usually calling my warm and hot leads, and I usually have where I met people, so like if I'm listing a vacation rental open house, I have who I met at an open house, so, and I know if they're an investor, I know if they're a buyer, so like I have them tagged in those areas, so yes, good question, because you wanna make it easy for yourself. Alright, last one.
Provide the seller with weekly updates detailing your marketing efforts, including comments from the prospective buyers and agents who have visited the home.
Yes, 100%, love that. Okay,
So, what about the objection, I don't have flyers on we don't need flyers. I've never sold a listing because of a flyer. About having like, the little flyer box on your for sale sign out front.
most people want it.
I like that.
A lot of people will do the text thing now, or the
Right.
more like techie, like some people will do, this house is always open, just text here and we'll come and show it to you.
Okay,
Like there's a lot of different strategies you can use, that's just up to you strategically what you wanna do,
okay.
totally up to you. Okay, Marketing action steps. All right. So I want you guys to think about one of the daily 10-4 homes you've previewed recently. Okay? So just think about one of the houses you've seen. I know you haven't previewed a home, Christine.
I went to an open
Oh,
house
perfect. There you
a
go.
while
Use that
ago.
one. Okay, so I just want you to write down pricing. Is the home priced properly according to the market comps? Signage. Was it good signage? How was the staging? What feature of the homes would you want to emphasize in images? And give me a little profile on what a potential buyer would look like for that house. It's all you. Go.
Can I ask something?
Mhm.
The multi-million dollar house I looked at,
Mhm.
walked through yesterday, was, like a tri-level, you know, with all the little, it was built in '88, so there was lots of steps, like to step down into the sunken living room,
Mhm.
kind of thing. I mean, for someone, frequently people who are older, 60 and up, they don't like stairs.
Okay.
So, is there a trend getting away from that type of floor plan now?
You'd have to check with the new homes. There's usually still upstairs and downstairs with most of those houses,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, but the tri-level sunken living room kind of thing, is that?
We don't see it as often nowadays with the new builds, for sure.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I
Just
mean,
depends.
it seems like our market on the island is getting older, and being handicap friendly is a selling point,
Yeah, because a lot of places aren't,
yeah.
which is an issue. By the way, you get a bonus if in the buyer profile, you can actually get a name of somebody in your database.
I have a question. So, do you know anything about the, like affordable housing in Old Wallet area?
A lot.
Because I have a friend who worked, he had mentioned to me, he was like, yeah, I'm thinking about like trying to buy one of the lots. And I think, like, we haven't even broke ground yet, have we?
No, I think the pictures on the MLS are all, what do you call it, images, right?
Satellite, maybe?
No, that's the one where they're like
Stock images?
fake houses, they're not real houses on the
Yes,
images.
yes, they're
That's
CGI
that one,
or
right?
something.
Right, yeah, exactly. I don't know a lot about them.
Right.
I would say, so you wanna, they're on the MLS, correct? I think those ones are.
so.
Reach out to whoever the agent is and say, what's the story, tell me everything you can tell me. They usually have sometimes specific lenders that they use. So you wanna get your client in connection with the lenders if he's interested. Those are the ones that are like townhouses.
I
By
think so, I think
threes.
they're like 1 to 3 bedrooms or something.
Yeah,
1 to 2
I think
acres.
that's the ones. But yeah, that's what I would do. Always reach out on the MLS to the agent.
Okay.
Just say you got somebody who's interested.
Mary Ann Fitch.
Marianne Fitch, is she a lot of?
She's all over the world.
I think it's, are you talking about those?
Mary Ann,
Yes.
talking about the ones opposite the,
In
like
Lani-
Leotas and that kind of thing?
In Lani Poco, I think. Right? Isn't that where they are?
I don't know.
No, she's got that front one, the 2 and 3 acre one right not on Ocean.
I think we're talking about different spots.
Yeah, this is the affordable housing. Is that what that
That's
one is?
very definitely not affordable housing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm very
Yeah,
ambitious
no,
with
yeah, I'm
affordable
sorry.
housing.
I'd heard all the while, I'm sorry, I didn't catch the affordable housing part.
Okay, so wrap it up.
So
She could go for a new niche.
Yeah, that's quite a bit.
I think it's Greg Burns, Senior.
We do not.
She's like,
That's
that's my
the
husband.
agent? Yeah, reach out.
I think he's.
Yeah.
I'm not
So-
sure.
So the $3.6 million house would not need a little box thing out front because it's in a gated community, would it? Or?
Yeah, there's usually rules on signs in gated communities too. So a
Oh,
lot of times you can't even have a sign in the
a
property.
for sale sign?
Direct.
Really? Yeah, I don't remember seeing one actually.
Yeah, you have to find out what the rules are when you list them
Wow.
and all that. Same thing with condos. Yeah, you gotta find out the rules when you list. Okay, how'd this go? Anybody put a name down?
Me. I was looking for myself.
Good, here you go. Did you have a question?
No, when you're like, put a name down, I was like, oh, where was the name thing? You meant
On the
for
bottom.
the buyer, yeah.
Yeah, if you had somebody who could be the buyer. Okay, so, pricing, were your homes priced pretty well?
I didn't think so.
She's like, I don't know. You didn't think so?
I thought mine was very expensive for what you were getting,
Okay.
but I don't know. It was basically, so I looked at open house in Lonnie-Boco.
Okay.
It's 2.3 million. And in one house, it was the main house, and the other one was the pool house. And the main house was only a 1 bedroom, and the pool house was only a 1 bedroom.
Gone to the world to
And
see.